Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavala Bhakti Varadari. Gopi Janavala Bhakti Varadari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Ba, Hare Ba. Nitai Gaur Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Ba, Hare Ba. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Asto Tratatat Sisima, His Divine Grace, ISKCON Pandacharya Srila Abhacha Navinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Astotra Satat Sisima, the Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Si Kahau Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Si Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Si Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Syamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Si Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Si Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Si Mayapur Navadev Dham Ki Jai. Si Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vini Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanand. All glory is to the Samon devotees. All glory is to the Samon devotees. All glory is to the Samon devotees. All glory is to Sri Gaura and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottama Devim Saraswati Vyasa Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nastrapaye Sabhadrisu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavaiti Naistike. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 10, Text 1-3. Title of this chapter is The Deliverance of the Yamala Arjuna Trees. Asataha Srimadandasya Daridram Paramajana Atmapam Yena Bhutani Daridra Param Shati. Asata Srimadandasya Daridryam Paramajanam Atmapam Yena Bhutani Daridra Paramishati. Can someone try? No. Mataji's. Any more Mataji's? So, word for word translation and purport by the followers of ISKCON founder Acharya, Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Asataha, of such a foolish rascal, Simada Andasya, who is blinded by temporarily possessing riches and opulence. Daridryam, poverty. Param Ajanam, the best ointment of the eyes, by which to see things as they are. Atma Pamyena, with comparison to himself. Bhutani, living beings, Daridraha, a poverty-stricken man, Param, perfectly, Ikshate, can see things as they are. Please kindly respond to the speak. Atheistic fools and rascals who are very much proud of wealth fail to see things as they are. Therefore, returning them to poverty is the proper ointment for their eyes so they may see things as they are. At least a poverty-stricken man can realize how painful poverty is. And therefore he will not want others to be in a painful condition like his own. This text is laughter-provoking, because it's so easy to rationalize. The Bhagavatam says like this, so I don't need to work hard. I just become a poor man so that I can see things in the way they are. So that I can be more focused on Krishna. Well, let's hear what Prabhupada, the followers of Prabhupada's comment. Huh? Can't hear you. What did you say? Oh, this purpose about Prabhupada? Okay. Srila Prabhupada's purport and translations. Purport. Even today, I finished, then you read it. You do the translation? Oh, they are doing. Oh. Even to purport, Prabhupada's purport, even today, if a man who was formerly poverty-stricken gets money, he is inclined to utilize his money to perform many philanthropic activities, like opening schools for educated men and hospitals for the diseased. In this connection, there is an instructive story called Puna Musa again become a mouse. A mouse was very harassed by a cat, and therefore the mouse approached a saintly person to request to become a cat. When the mouse became a cat, he was harassed by a dog. And then, when he became a dog, he was harassed by a tiger. But when he became a tiger, he stared at the saintly person, and when the saintly person asked him, quote, "What do you want?" unquote, the tiger said, quote, "I want to eat you," unquote. Then the saintly person cursed him, saying, quote, "May you again become a mouse," unquote. A similar thing is going on all over the universe. One is going up and down, sometimes becoming a mouse, sometimes a tiger, and so on. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Brahmanda Brahmi te kona bhagyavan jiva, Guru Krishna prasade paya bhakti lata bija. This is an excerpt from, this is a reference from C.C. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mandir Leela, chapter 19, text 151. The living entities are promoted and degraded by the laws of nature, but one is very, very bad. If one is very, very fortunate by association with saintly persons, he gets the seed of devotional service, and his life becomes successful. Narada Muni wanted to bring Nalakuvera and Manigriva to the platform of devotional service through poverty, and thus he cursed them. Such is the mercy of a Vaishnava. Unless one is brought to the Vaishnava platform, one cannot be a good man. Hare, abhaktasya kutu mahat gunaha. Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 18, text 12. And a Vaishnava never becomes a good man, however severely he is punished. Om Jnana Timirandasya, Ganajana Salakaya, Saksoda Militam Jena Tismai, Si Gurave Namaha. Suchetaya Manovistam, Stavetam Jenam Brutale, Swayam Rupa, Kadamaya, Dadati Swa Padantikam. Vandasi Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda Sahodita, Godadaya Puspavanto Chito Chanatamam. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadara, Siva Saris, Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharine. Nirvisesa Sonya Bhadi Parthasarthi Satari Vancha Kalpatari Vyacha Kripa Sunnabhya Evacha Patitanam Pavadibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo. So this text is interesting. Lesson from Puna Musa Baba. So Prabhupada loves this short story that is also included in his short story app, and it's interesting because people in general, when you're born in an aristocratic family, a family of very opulent status, you don't pass through suffering, it's very difficult to help people. It's very, very difficult. Because you are virtually inexperienced, materially speaking. So you don't understand what it takes to be in a painful condition. I mean, it's like if you have never been ill before, if you have never got sick, and someone tells you that you're sick, for you, it doesn't make any meaning to you. Because you don't have the lived experience. Or, say you are a young couple, you got married, and somehow or the other there is so much of catastrophe, and so you decided to call it off. But divorce comes with a lot of agony. You may even be the person to take the other partner to court for the divorce. But when it really happens, it comes with so much agony. Sometimes people commit suicide. Because attachment, raga, is very powerful. So, and the purport here, Prabhupada gives the striking example of poverty. If one is poverty-stricken and he becomes rich, or he gets some big position, big political position, or he becomes, say he comes from a poor family, and then he attains high status in life, he's inclined to try to understand. He's inclined to community life, community development. Because he knows what it takes to be poor. He's seen his family, his parents, they struggle so much to even generate funds for his school fees. And so, when he attains a good position, he wants to help people. He doesn't want other people to suffer like the way he did. For Papa gives the example that people who are like grossly foolish and endowed with rascaldom, basically they don't follow laws. They're foolish. Someone may be very rich, may be born in maybe the president or the child of the president of the United States. I bet they could be foolish because they don't know the purpose of human life. They could be rascals because they don't follow any injunction regarding promotion of their next existence. And therefore, we see that people who are superlatively literate, see, I have friends who even have 3 PhDs, and they are not happy. They're not happy with their lives. So ordinarily speaking, one is thinking, oh, if I got a PhD, then, I'll be on top of the world. But someone has 3 PhDs, and they are not happy with their lives. Or someone is even the governor of a state, say in the United States, and he's a drug addict. Why? Because he's not happy. He's thinking he's going to get happiness from the drugs. So these are different ways that material nature conditions the living entity to be grossly stupefied. And so, when people hear about books that could make them happy, I was just appreciating the set of, your set of preaching here, how Guru Maharaj, Krishna, Swami Maharaj has creatively developed this project of, packaging these purpose books in different casings. And so you can present some casings to school heads or to some business tycoons on how to make their workers happy. Because money alone does not bring happiness. If money alone brings happiness, perhaps the richest people who don't resort to drugs or who don't resort to suicide. And so sometimes we don't seem to understand the wealth we have. Yes, poverty is the wealth of the Brahmin. And that poverty doesn't mean we don't have something to eat. And in fact, the Brahmin is the richest person because Krishna is Namo Brahmanaya Deva. He worships the Brahmins. And so who could be richer than the Brahmins? If the Supreme Lord worships the Brahmins. And yet we are told that poverty is the wealth of the Brahmin. So, the understanding should be that the Brahmin is not really poor. He might not be the Prime Minister of India, but he has inner and outer awareness. He has endogenous and exogenous awareness of reality. And when you don't have the endogenous and exogenous awareness of reality, what you do is you chase after shadows. You chase for happiness in the wrong place. And then you get frustrated. So this is the way that we've been moving in this material world. Brahmanda, Brahmite, Kona, Bhagya, Jiva. We move from one Brahmanda to the other, one universe to the other, one planet to the other. Looking for what? Looking for sense gratification. But what does sense what does self-gratification do? It conditions us to this material world. So, for majority of people, they think that spiritual life is a place for people who are not successful. Oh yeah, they think like that. Even in India, as I have a young friend from Assam. And he told me he came to Mayapur and he told me a story. I was just laughing. He told one of his professors. He just finished his first degree, so he's gone to Bengaluru for a master's program. And the reason why he's going for the master's program is that in his community, people like to belittle him. When he was studying as an undergraduate student, people like to belittle him that you join the Hare Krishnas. They are poor people. They are poor people. So he was going to school in a university in his local community. So he spoke with, he had a good relationship with one of his professors. So he told his professor that, see, in our movement, in ISKCON, some of our gurus, they have PhD in management science. He was referring to me. So immediately the professor was, he was taken aback. He said, oh, he has a PhD. Why is he destroying his career? Why is he destroying his career? So the foolish people think when you get involved in devotional service, you're missing something out there. But my own lived experience shows that even those who have 3 PhDs, they're not happy with their lives. And we have been conditioned to think that when we go to America, we'll be happy. In America, say you have your family in New York. By the time you finish your studies, you finish your degree program, you want to go to far away to live by yourself so that you don't get bothered by anybody. You want to go to have a house in California. Or you want to go to the South, in Louisiana. We like to travel. Why? Because the soul is by nature has always been on the move. Brahmanda Brahmite. Okay? The soul has always been on the move. And that's why you stay in one place, it's like for you. Come on, am I a prisoner? Because the nature of the soul is that it's always moving. Looking, going, traveling, going from one planet to the other, taking different type of bodies. Now tell me, who amongst you would like to take birth in, you're born in India, you see your glories, but who amongst you would like to take birth in his next life in North Korea? In North Korea, they don't have prasadam. The prasadam is what? Grasshoppers. Oh yeah. This is the same continent, but you don't know what is happening in the other country. So, foolish people think that by moving around, by traveling around, by jumping from one tree to the other, I mean, it's like monkeys. We are living in a monkey civilization. The monkeys that jump from one tree to the other are looking for female monkeys. But we have an assurance that for those who are fortunate, this movement could be stopped. They encounter a sadhu, like Prabhupada, who blesses them. with divine knowledge. And all of this awkward movement back and forth here and there looking for sense gratification, like the hogs. Hogs are also, they like to move around. You think that a hog has no place of residence. They like to move around. But where do they move around to? Filthy places. And it's important to understand that when we have that opportunity of devotional encounter, devotional association, we need to take it seriously. You may say, well, I'm taking mine very seriously. I come to Mangarati every day. I woke up very early in the morning to chant my japa. These are good ways for us to be able to create a formidable devotional culture. And more important than any of our personal endeavor is the mercy of the spiritual master. The mercy of the sadhu. Yes, our efforts make some meaning. So, we shouldn't have that mentality that of misconstruing what the scriptures have said. See, I can take this verse to my own disadvantage. Well, the verse we just read this morning says, if you're poverty-stricken, you can see things in the way they are. So let me be poor. We don't have to embrace poverty. Look, the whole of this structure. If anybody comes here, will they say that you are poor? Devotional life is not about embracing poverty. It's about utilizing everything at our disposal in serving Lord Krishna. It's called Yukta Vairagya. And therefore, we are already situated with the proper vision of seeing things in the way they are, and we are going about helping people. The preacher is the best of philanthropists, is the best of helpers. The ordinary philanthropist may build schools, may establish hospitals to help diseased people, may build schools for helping with educating the uneducated. But the results are very transitory. Now the devotee who goes out to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to spread the message of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that he is the most dear person to him. Can you imagine if Krishna selects you to be his dear most lover? But that's what the devotees are endeavoring for. We are endeavoring to become beloveds of Lord Krishna. Because Krishna has mentioned that those who are spreading his message, they are the ones dear to him. So, if even we are not in a position to directly help in spreading the message of Godhead, spreading the message of Lord Krishna, we should try by all possible avenues to help in pushing the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are missionaries. Missionaries means preachers. Spiritual, devotional workers. And so, the question of Puna Musa Bhava does not arise for the devotee. Because he's not seeking for some material blessings or some material protection from the Lord or from the sadhu. We pray every day. We chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. But what are we saying? We are begging for service. We're not saying, "Oh, sadhu, please, I'm being run over by a cat. Let me become a dog." Because every material situation is very transitory and it constitutes danger in the material world. So the cat is not feeling secure. The dog is not feeling secure. Have you ever noticed this? If you find in America they have all these deers, they live with the people in the community. But if a deer is crossing the road, the deer looks like this. At a jet speed. It doesn't just stroll across the road. It doesn't just move majestically across the road. Why? Fear. Fear. The material world is a place of Baya. Fear. And therefore we don't feel secure. If you are afraid, you don't feel secure. It's good to feel insecure, but with Krishna consciousness, we should feel secure. Because Krishna is there to protect us. Krishna is there to burn all of our sinful reactions. We fear because of sinful reactions. We have a bunch of reactions from the past. So we are always in the mood of fear because we've been subtly haunted by our sinful reactions. But with Krishna consciousness, we become protected under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada, under the shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, under the shelter of Sister Radha Parthasarthi. So we should feel emboldened to help Srila Prabhupada in spreading his message. Because this is our great fortune. And we will completely eradicate the very phenomenon of fools and rascals on the planet if we can spread Krishna consciousness in all nooks and crannies of the world. Because then people will embrace Krishna consciousness and they will understand. They will not wait to have that lived experience of poverty before they become seriously engaged in Krishna consciousness. They will learn, they will hear. You see, if someone tells you about the ill effects of drugs, if you are smart, you don't go and try it. So the acharyas have told us repeatedly, material world is pada pada hi vi pada. Every step you take could be dangerous. And so, we are privileged to be in Lord Chaitanya's mission. It's not our right, but by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And therefore we should help our spiritual masters, we should help Srila Prabhupada in continuing our efforts to conquer the whole world with Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki. Any comments or questions? Yes, someone is here. Someone is here. This guy.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, for warning us and inspiring us how seriously one should take to Krishna consciousness. Maharaj, like you were saying that by hearing the bad effect of the drugs, people does not get into it. So even though the glories of devotional service we keep on hearing, and then the ill effect of the sense gratification also. But still, the senses, the mind is too attached. It wants to give up the greatest opportunity, that is to practice devotion.
Yeah.
So how
to deal with that?
How to break the tug of war?
Yeah. It's a good point. I guess the people at the back, they had the question. So, here we have good intentions. We have had the ill effects of sense gratification. We have had the glories of devotional service. And on top of all of this, we still get lured into sense gratification. We still have lackadaisical approach to devotional service, or uninterested. We don't approach devotional service with emergency consciousness. Why? Pashyana pina pashyati. Even after seeing, even after hearing, we are not able to act according to Guru, Sadhu and Sastra. Why? One of the major militating factors is hridaya dubalya, weakness of heart. Weakness of heart. We have had, and we are motivated, we are enthused to do it. But after the class, everything felt like, face down. Another militating factor is low self-control. Now, Rupa Goswami mentions in his Upadeshamrita, Vasha Vegam, Manasa Kroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udara Pasta Vegam, Etam Vegam Yo Vishahita Diram Saram Abhimam Pritibim Sasisham. If one is able to control the urges of the senses, the tongue, the belly, the genitals, you can become a global leader. In the purport, Prabhupada mentioned, you can become a global leader. You can lead the whole world. And you know what? Rupa Goswami's instruction in the Parthasarthi formed the foundation of the general theory of crime in criminology. And the general theory of crime in criminology stipulates that all crimes and antisocial behavior or inability to execute, implement devotional values is due to low self-control. We have low self-control. So what we do in the devotional culture is to promote our self-control. And we do that in several ways. One of those ways is to read the scriptures every day, to hear Prabhupada's lectures every day, to have strong association. We should have senior devotees that we associate with that. When we hear them speak, we become highly enthused to go on with our devotional service. Because association is contagious. If you associate with a criminal, one day you will develop criminal mindset. Why? Because in physics we have what is called osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure is determined by separating two solutions by a membrane. Now, one of these solutions is highly concentrated, the other one is not. Now, these two solutions, if they are separated by a living cell membrane, the strong solution will draw the weak solution. That shows the principle of association in physics. So when we are associating, there is a lot that goes on subtly when people are within close proximity. And that is why the acharyas, even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, warn us to avoid association with non-devotees. Because we will imbibe their culture, we will imbibe their consciousness. Not everyone is advanced enough to be able to give association when they associate with someone else. So we have to check the type of association we have and have strong association. I remember when my Guru Maharaj was on the planet, I was involved in management at some point in time, and it was so wacky. It's just so much energy sapping. So sometimes I really get madly confused. So, amidst that type of scenario, sometimes I got a call. He might be in overseas, and I got a call from him in the dead of night. If he speaks to me, I mean, it's like he knew all the problems I was passing through. After speaking for like hours, it's like everything becomes doused away. All contamination doused away. All confusion doused away. So association. And I can tell you of my own lived experience. And some of my disciples have also mentioned to me. I remember there's a case of one disciple. She was very young when she contacted me. So the father will observe her, and when she's getting low in her energies, the father will say, "Go speak to Maharaj." Because he realized that when each time we have a conversation, normally her mom, myself, and the older sister, sometimes the younger brother, each time they have a conversation with me, the members of the family, they become, charged up. So when the father, the head of the family, observes that any member of the family is becoming depleted in the energies, he says, "Go speak with Maharaj." I remember also a case of a friend from London. He observed how some of my aspiring disciples, their mood change each time they speak with me. So then he wanted to get connected with me. But then, the aspiring disciple was like, dilly-dallying, delaying and all these things. So one day, he just came from behind and he called me on the phone. And he explained everything to me. He said, "Look, I've been wanting to get in touch with you through one of your disciples, but there's so much of delay, and I can't wait any longer." He had observed that effect of the association, especially the mood of those affected, becomes positively changed. So I've seen that. Even proper disciples, they will tell you a lot about the association with Prabhupada. So we should have strong association. We should have some senior person in our life that we get confused and we can call the person to explain our situation. And I bet you that will help you to forge ahead. Not only to forge ahead, to excel in your devotional life in amazing ways. Because the Sangha expedites progress in a very way. And so when we have to struggle by ourselves all through, devotional life shouldn't be that of just self-struggle only. We need the mercy. You remember the story when Vasudeva was trying to bind Krishna? And each time, the rope was short of like 2 fingers. And the acharyas, I think Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur or someone else, had mentioned that our efforts is fine, but our efforts alone is not enough. We need the mercy of the Vaishnavas. We need the mercy of Lord Krishna. So let's understand this point, that devotional service is not, I'm mentioning this point also in Vrindavan. Devotional service is not like a gulab jamun. Sometimes we get into a crossroad. So we should understand, we should have that self-diagnosis and understand that, okay, if I'm in this type of crossroad, what I need is strong sadhu sangha. Go on yatra. Go to the holy dam. Look, Vrindavan is just here. Get some group of devotees, and then you go there. And, you have a serious spiritual transformation. When this is like the battlefield. You're in Delhi. I'm preaching here. The industrial area. And all of the polluted consciousness goes on here. So sometimes you take a leave and go for yatra. Vrindavan is very close here. Understand that, again, I don't just like to preach, but I back up my statements with some scientific value. The German psychologist, Professor Lewin, he developed the field theory in 1938. And the field theory, basically, it establishes the fact that the environment impacts on our behavior. So we have a place like a theater like Vrindavan, where 24/7 activities, they are Krishna consciousness. When you go to that environment, whether you like it or not, the environment impacts on your consciousness. The only problem is when you go to Vrindavan, to live becomes a problem because you're thinking, what should I live? But these are some of the things we have to keep in mind. So yeah, going to the theater is another factor. Having good associate, that's there. We should read every day. We should not eat biscuits outside. And bread. Because these things, we may say, well, it's not veg. I mean, it's veg. But the people who cook these grains, their consciousness goes into the grains. And that's why Prabhupada never wanted his followers to eat boga. Again, it's science. So these are minor things, but if we take into consideration, sometimes we get too advanced. We stay in the movement for many years, and we neglect the fundamental things. And then we start having problems. And then we wonder, where is the problem coming from? Yes? Any other last comments? Because it's already 5 minutes past.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, very perceptive and enlightening lecture as always. Thank you very much. My question, Maharaj, is that Nalakuvara and Manigriva had the good fortune of being cursed by Narada Muni, and because he took pity on them, and it was his causeless mercy, so to say. And towards the end, Krishna says that it is because of Narada Muni that I have actually given you this. So how do we actually see that when we are facing an adverse situation in our life, that it is actually Krishna's mercy or our own bad karma?
Yeah, we have to see from Sastra Sakshi that whatever encounter we have is also a means for growth. So now I can give you a material example. There was a drug baron in New York. So eventually he was indicted. He was arrested by the cops, by the police. He was prosecuted. He was found guilty of, drug crimes. So they put him in jail for many years. Many years jail. But you know what? He didn't just sit back in jail and start. You know what he did when he was in jail? Turning misfortune to fortune. He got a PhD when he was in jail. In America, if you're in jail, you can study. So that was the route he took. So if we look at problems that we have and just go on lamenting about the challenges, that's not good enough. So the case of Nalakuvara and Managriva, Nada, they were rascal. They were rascally involved in behavior, and so Nada wanted to bless them by so-called apparent cause. Now, when the sadhu causes someone, they have your best interest at heart. I mean, Jala Prabhupada will harass people, insult them. We cannot imitate Prabhupada. I've seen some devotees, they do this and then they get into trouble. We say, when Prabhupada preach like this, we are not Prabhupada. We don't have that pure intentions of Prabhupada. When we are trying to talk to somebody who want to defeat them and put them to shame. I remember one elderly brahmachari in Mayapur, he told me his story. He was the Mayavadi Swami. He met Prabhupada. That time when I met him, he was in his 80s. He looks really still very strong. So he told me he met Prabhupada. When he was a Mayavadi Swami, he challenged Prabhupada. And Prabhupada defeated him woefully. So he told Prabhupada, I join your movement. So he joined Prabhupada's movement. Now, tell me, how many people you go out there and fight in words that will follow you to the temple? You defeated them, okay? They follow you to the temple? It's just anger that will bruise. So, the sadhu, the so-called cause from the sadhu is actually a blessing. So we see in the case of Nada Monikasi, Nalakuvera Manigriva. And the lesson to learn from that is obviously, like what you said, we should see our challenges as a means for growth. Instead of blaming Krishna. Oh, Krishna, look, I have been chanting 60 rounds for 40 years. Why allow this to happen to me? Or, I have been chanting, I've been doing services, for 35 years. Why you give me this type of child, Krishna? Child is not interested in devotional life. Did you do the ABC of procreation? Did you and your spouse chant 50 rounds before having the sex to produce the child? And was it done at the Brahma Muhurta hour at 5 o'clock? So for you to chant 50 rounds from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock, not everybody can do it. So the science is there, so procreation is there. You know how Prahlad was born? We may say Hiranyakasipu was a demon. How he gave birth to Prahlad, a pure devotee? Hiranyakasipu was a demon. If you read the Nrsimha Purana, chapter 40, 51, 42, 43, you get the details of that story. Kayadu and Hiranyakasipu were having sex. And Hiranyakasipu had earlier told Kayadu that he was going to go to the forest to perform austerities. But then, very shortly, Hiranyakasipu came back. So when they were having fun, Kayadu asked, what was the motivation? Why did he come back so soon? And Hiranyakasipu had to unveil the story of how, when he was in the forest performing the austerities, the two birds came perching on a tree above him. And those two birds were Narada Muni and his friend. Remember friend? Bhagavad Muni, yeah. And they were there chanting, Om Narayana Namaha. on top of perching on that tree, chanting Om Narayana, just to distract people from his. So yeah, and truly enough, he was distracted, so he left. So he left. I mean, it's a very sweet story in that Istinka Purana. But here is the point. When Kayadu asked about why he came back so quickly, and he was narrating this, giving Kayadu, the wife, this story. At that time, they were having sex. And as Hiranyakasipu was mentioning that, these two beds were there, and they were chanting Om Narayana Nama. At that time, when he was chanting Om Narayana Nama, he discharged semen. That's how Prahlad was invoked into Kayadu's womb. In other words, Hiranyakasipu was, his consciousness was saturated with Narayan consciousness at that time. In a positive way. So when people point accusing fingers to Krishna, why they have a particular child? Why not a Paka child like Prahlad? No. Here is the difference. In fact, brahmacharis, just remain where you are. To be a grihastha is not a cheap thing. Because the rules, very few people can follow. You hear that? Huh? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.